All right, so this is an introduction into naming some of the ionic compounds. We're just going to start with some of the easy ones and develop the pattern, and then from there we'll get to some of the more difficult stuff. So in class we talked using a periodic table and how we can use that to find charge. And what we end up with there is knowing that group 1 is a +1 charge, group 2 is a +2 charge. These are the transition metals, so we're not worried about those just yet. This is a +3. We don't really worry much about carbon. All right, these aren't going to be used in ionic compounds very often. And we've got -3, -2, -1, and 0. So we have our charges ready. All right, so we'll be able to name now as we find elements. So this is a nice way to start. You've been given a periodic table that has this, so you don't have to do this every time. But when you take the test, this is going to be the way that you should probably start. So there are two ways we can do this. We can go from symbols to words or words to symbols. We're going to start with symbols to words. When you go symbols to words, the metal is always first. That's going to stay exactly the same. Okay, and the non-metal is going to change to IDE. Okay, so when we're looking at our non-metal change into IDD, that means, fluorine is going to become fluoride, nitrogen becomes nitride. Okay, oxygen becomes oxide, phosphorus becomes phosphide, bromine becomes bromide. So you're just adding an IDE to the end instead of the ending that you're given there. Okay, so if we look at a couple of examples here, I've got Na and Cl. So Na is sodium, and that's going to stay the same. And then Cl is chlorine, and that's going to become fluoride. The next one here, I've got Mg, which I know is magnesium. And Br here is going to go from bromine to bromide. Notice this 2 doesn't really affect anything. Okay, it's not really doing anything for us. The last one here, I've got Al, which I know is aluminum. All right. And then oxygen is going to become oxide. Again, the 2 and the 3 have no bearing on this. All right. All we're doing here is putting the metal first, because that's the first element. Okay. And then we are changing the ending of the second element to IDE. All right. Words to symbols is a little bit different. You're going to use that periodic table, and you're going to cross your charges. I'll show you what that means. So here we've got calcium fluoride. Let's expand the page a little bit. Here we've got calcium fluoride. So we're looking at calcium and fluorine here. All right. So if I look at that, I've got calcium, which is right there. That's in the +2 category. And fluorine, that's in the -1 group there. All right. So I know that this is a +2. This is a -1. So I'm going to cross those. Now, when we cross them, we're not worried about plus and minus anymore. Okay. What this is going to tell me is that -1 means I have 1 calcium and 2 fluorines. So when I write that, you never have to write a 1. It would be CaF2. Looking at the next one, I've got potassium nitride. So I got potassium working right here. That's a +1. Nitrogen right here, that's a -3. Okay. So I've got potassium, which is a K, nitrogen, which is an N. You don't have to rewrite these every time. Once you figure it out, I'm just doing it so that you can see the process. Okay, so this -3 is going to go to my potassium. The 1 is going to go to the nitrogen. And again, you can drop the negative in the positive. All right, we don't have to write 1, so we go to K3N. All right, so all you're doing here is you are finding the charges and you're crossing them, meaning the 3 from the 1 or the 3 from the nitride goes to the potassium, the 1 from the potassium goes to the nitride there. All right, and then up here again, all you're doing is adding IDE to the second element. And that's it. There is a worksheet on Schoology for you to work on. And you should have your own periodic table. But if you'd rather just pause this and use this periodic table, you're welcome to do so. Good luck.